All right, hey friends, it looks like I think I'm live right now, which is super exciting. So I just wanted to come on tonight and do another little live stream. I had so much fun crafting the other day where I just sat down and made some cards with you using some of my products from the Simon Hurley Create line and some of my January release. So that's what I'm going to be doing again tonight. So hopefully we'll get a couple of you guys in the live stream. And of course, I always like to also make sure that the replay viewers are going to be able to watch as well. So I'll be interacting with the people a little bit, but I won't kind of slow us down with a bunch of highs and hellos and stuff like that. So hopefully this is still very enjoyable for you to watch later on. All the supplies that I used today are linked down below in the description box. So you can find the full supplies list there, all of my release there. So if you're interested in anything, be sure to check that out. And everything from Ranger is still shipping, which is awesome. Hey everyone, hope you guys are having a great night. So as always, let's get right into it. Let's turn on my work surface and get started. And of course, if you're here live, feel free to ask any questions throughout the live stream and hopefully I can answer them as well. That's another thing that I love to do and why I love these lives is hopefully you guys are liking them too. During this time, we can kind of connect and chat and ask questions and things like that. Because I know it's kind of weird outside of our houses right now. So hopefully we can stay connected kind of through social media and stuff like that. So let's turn on my work surface and get right into it. So one of the kind of categories, I guess, that I haven't really focused a ton on from this release is this birch tree timber stamp. And also, I use this one quite a bit, this Leafy Greens stencil. But then one thing that I have used a lot, but haven't really showed in videos a ton, is this fun bird buddy stamp set. I absolutely love this one. Just the little fun birdies inside of it. And I've used this so much, but I never actually edited the videos that I used it in. And so hopefully I'll get to editing some of those, but I wanted to share some fun projects you can create with it in tonight's live stream as well. Hey everyone. Okay, so let's get right into it. Yay, so glad you guys are all able to join. I'm seeing lots of people are saying that this is their first live that they've joined with me, which is super exciting. So let's start off. Let's go in with, let's do this bird. I want to show, first off, what this birdhouse is for. Because you can actually use the bird inside of the bird box. Most of them will fit inside of here, which I think is so much fun. So let me go in here and we'll pull in one of the stamps. Let me grab, I'm going to use the Misty just because I want it to stamp really nicely, but usually you wouldn't have to. But in case if I need to stamp it twice or anything like that, I'll use this. And I'm just using a piece of my stark white cardstock because I know I'm going to be able to color and things like that on here. So let's go in and I'll put it right about there. I can always extend the line with a little pen or something if I want to. Yeah, how is everyone doing? Let me know. What are you guys kind of doing? How are you hanging in there? Yeah, I'd love to know. We've been cooking more than ever now, which is kind of fun, but not something that we usually do a lot. We used to go to eat a lot, so lots of cooking during this time though. So I'm just gonna go in with some jet black archival ink and we'll ink up my stamp, my little birdhouse. And so the reason I drew this is because many bird stamp sets that I've seen in the past were just like one type of bird and things like that. And so I love, number one, that I had so much variety in this set with different types of birds. That's one of my favorite parts. But also that I gave you a swing and a birdhouse and a branch to use them with so that you've got lots to use the stuff with, which I think is awesome. So I'll pull this out. Awesome. So I'm not going to answer too many questions if they're not really about what we're doing tonight. Do I have die cuts to go with this stamp set? Unfortunately, we do not have dies to go along with my stamps yet. So let me show you guys how I would kind of use this. So what I'm going to do is grab this little guy. This one is so much fun, but of course you could really put a lot of them inside of this birdhouse. Let me show you. A lot of them fit inside of here. I made their bodies fit just perfectly so you can get most of them inside. but I'll kind of show you and demonstrate the process. Of course, you could do some creative masking, but the easiest way that I find to do it is just stamp it on another sheet. I'll show you guys here. Jean says she's zoning out in California, meaning she binge watches, eats, and cooking gives you something to do. Definitely. Oh my gosh, yes. Me too. I've kind of been doing the same thing. But I love that we live in a world of social media right now. I think that's really awesome because it keeps us really connected, even during these times like this. Like, thank goodness for FaceTime and Zoom calls, and even everybody going live on YouTube and Instagram too. It just gives us something to do and still kind of feel connected with people, which I think is awesome during this time. So, I'm going to grab some of my inks now so we can do some watercoloring. I'll grab a little bit of Gur, which is my brown color. And so tonight I'm just going to kind of craft and share some ideas using my stamp set. So nothing like super technique oriented or super special, but I'll be giving you lots of tips as well as I'm doing this. So then I'll use a little bit of bee sting, and everybody asks too what this surface is that I use. I recommend using a craft sheet because that's going to take the ink best. However, the surface that I use is just a laminate countertop. And I find that that works for me, but I don't want to recommend it to everybody because I want you guys to keep your laminate countertops nice. But yes, I just put water-based ink and stuff on it, and it works. So just a couple colors here, and then I'll grab my spray bottle. Now, usually I would color on watercolor cardstock, but my cardstock works pretty well as well for coloring. It takes water pretty nicely. It just doesn't give you as much blendability. So that's why usually I'll use kind of a watercolor type cardstock with it. But either one will kind of work nicely. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to do some really quick and simple kind of wash watercoloring. Nothing super fancy or special really to go into this. I just want to give it a little bit of color. I know lots of people are super good at like Copic coloring and things like that. I love just going in and watercoloring. I find it so not stressful and so easy to learn too. And there's not many difficult things that you really need to learn when you're doing watercolor and stuff like this. And so then in between colors, to make sure that it doesn't bleed, I'm just going to grab my heat tool. And by kind of drying it a little bit in between colors, it's going to make sure that the colors don't run into each other and things like that. Yay, someone said, Marcy said she just got some of my Stark White cardstock and can't wait to try it. I think you're going to love it. I know I've been kind of talking about it a little bit more lately. When I first released it, I didn't really say too much about it because I just assumed that people would, try it and see and, of course, see the results because it's a little bit difficult to explain. But once I've been kind of showing you guys comparisons and stuff with really how it works compared to other cardstocks and how bright white it is, I think a lot more people are kind of trying it and falling in love with it as much as I have, which is awesome. And I don't usually use it for watercolor. You can see that it does work, but I love watercolor cardstock. When I'm doing detailed coloring and stuff like this, I just find that it captures the details a little bit better with watercolor cardstock. But I find that this is pretty much great for everything else, which I love. Yay, Philip said he's going to ask to get some of my products into their nearby scrapbook store, which is so awesome. Thank you for doing that and all the support. It really, truly helps when you guys ask to get it into your stores and things like that. I love that. Okay, so let me go in here. We'll start painting in this little bird. And I'm just going to do it I did it with Gur here, and then I'll blend it up to a little bit of Minty Fresh. So just a little bit of kind of a weird colored bird, but I love just kind of having fun with color. We can even add a little bit of yellow kind of on the bottom here if we want to. So these are blue-footed boobies. That's what I drew them after. I had a little art project and I drew a blue-footed booby. See, this is what I'm talking about with detail work, with watercolor and stuff like that. I find that sometimes it bleeds a little bit on my cardstock, so that's why I don't really use it with detailed coloring. But like I said, it still does work. I just like to detail watercolor on regular watercolor cardstock, and then I pull this stuff in for literally, like I said, everything else, because it works with basically everything. And then I'll just go in and kind of real quick finish this off. I don't want to spend too much time in coloring, because sometimes I find that a little bit boring. But I think I'm going pretty fast, which is good. So then I'll color it in with a little blue feet, because of course, we've got it, right? I don't even think that they have like bright blue feet, but I'm not sure. When I drew one, I don't think that they actually did. I very well could be mistaken though. But yeah, I had this little guy was in one of my art projects, and so then it was one of my first drawings that I did for Simon Hurley Create, and it ended up being in one of these stamp sets. So sometimes I'll just draw stuff, and then it'll end up in a stamp set later on. And then I'll just spray any of the excess color, and I know you guys love when I do this because we get some super cool backgrounds once we're done with it. So just use any excess color, and literally we added brown in there, and it still looks beautiful. I always tell you guys, my inks are very hard to make brown with, so this just creates a beautiful and fun background that I can use later on in the video. Yay, you just bought this stamp set. That is so much fun. Someone said they love the bird. He's so cute. Hey, Jess. Jess is in here. Yay. Okay. Simone just said that she was a little bit on the fence about my inks at first, but now that she has them, she loves them and she wants to get all the new released colors, which is so fun. Thank you guys so much for sharing your love about the inks, because it is a little bit difficult to explain how different they are until you really get your hands on it, and then you're like, wow, these are my faves, right? And it sounds biased when I say it, but they really are. I've had like an addiction to inks ever since I first started, and they really are some of the best that I've ever used, because I really wanted to make it a mix of everything that I loved, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do is I usually go in with a little bit of a border when I cut out images, but since I'm going to slide this guy right into, or right onto the birdhouse, I want to cut it without a border. So it's pretty simple though, they're pretty easy shapes. So a lot of people are asking for die cuts. We'll see if that's kind of in the works. But right now, the fussy cutting is pretty easy, just because the images are pretty simple shapes to cut out, which is really nice. And so with this, all I'm going to do is just cut kind of around here, and literally I'm going to cut his legs off. I'm sorry, he's a cutie, right? But I'm just going to cut right around his little legs and body so that I can fit him right inside of the little hole of this birdhouse. So you won't see the bottom half. Hey, Tanner's here. Awesome. From Maker's Gonna Learn. Okay, so we're going to kind of put him inside that little hole. Now, to do this, there's a couple options that you have. You could, of course, cut him kind of around in that circle shape. But I found that the easiest way to do this is just to make a little hole in here. And then go in and cut this out. And of course, like I said, if you wanted to, you could really go in and do some creative masking or anything like that. But for me, this is definitely the easiest way to do it. And then I'll just go in and cut it out. And of course, X-Acto knives are probably easier, but those scare me. You'll definitely get a much cleaner cut with an X-Acto knife, but I just want to show you guys this quick. And I'm not that quick with an X-Acto knife. So I'm just going to go in here with my scissors and cut it out. And it's not going to be, like I said, with the scissors, it's not going to be as clean, but I'll show you a tip to kind of clean it up in the end. So there's lots of different ways to use this, but, and also guys, if you have a punch, that might work too. I'm pretty sure that's kind of a die or a punch, there's definitely got to be one that's like around this size, and that'll really help. So I'll just kind of smooth out the edges. It'll make it look a little bit cleaner if you smooth it out like that. So not even bad. And then we can go in here, and I'm just going to grab a black brush tip marker, and I'll just go right along the edge. And so by doing this, it's going to just blend it all in and make it look seamless with that marker. So that's just a good tip no matter what you're cutting. If you want your edges to look seamless, go along with a black brush tip marker. Okay. Okay, let's see. Exactly, I can't really do an X-Acto knife either, so those scissors make it really easy to cut out. And then look, all I have to do is we can either stick him in like this, or we could even cut off just a little bit more. Let's go in here and just cut off. What did I do to fit this guy in? I think his little tail has to come off. I think that's what it is. So just kind of maneuver it around. And pop it in here. And there we go. So that's kind of what I did to get my little guy in here. So just kind of cut around until you're able to fit him right inside the birdhouse. But like I said, whatever you want to do, whether it's creative stamping and masking or things like that, or if you just want to, another thing you could do is literally just mask off this circle with a little bit of tape and then stamp this guy down, and that's another easy way. Let me show you guys that after. So this one is a little bit more 3D because you can make his head pop out like this. And let's just shove him right in there. Perfect. Yeah, so cute. Oh my gosh. I didn't put enough adhesive on. Gotta put it right up to the edge. And then we will pop it right into here. And there we go. There you go. Look how cute that is. I love it. Awesome. Okay. Yay, Tanner said thankfully he wasn't even touched by the tornadoes. Yeah, I'm praying for everybody down there. We took a little bit of a road trip and kind of passed that area and went right through there, which was really fun. But then we had to cut the road trip short. So I'm going to go in and grab a little bit of foam tape if you want to make his little head pop up there too. Okay. So look at that. So much fun, right? So then all I need to do is kind of finish off my card. And to do this, I'm just going to kind of cut around this little guy. So let's go in here and just do, let's start off by just cutting a little bit off each side. And then here we'll do, and I'm just going in with my little Tonic mini trimmer. And this is so good. Let's see. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm going a little bit slow today, but I'm just kind of crafting, just having fun, which is awesome. Okay, I think we got some trolls in the chat. Should we get rid of them? Okay. There we go. Okay. So, oh no. Guys, maybe I should make one of you a monitor. If Tanner's still in here, we'll make him a moderator. And, okay, there we go. Okay, we'll see if he's still in here. But here is that finished card in the end. And then I'm going to grab the Leafy Greens stencil, which is this really fun one. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to lay the stencil down and we can start doing our leaves. I'll add you as a moderator too, Jess. Awesome. Okay, so let me just go in here. Sorry about that, guys. I just want to make sure that the chat is still nice. So let's go in with Minty Fresh, and I'm just going to go in here and start doing some ink blending. And for this, I think we all know me. We all know I don't love to go in here and do lots of masking or anything like that. And so for this, all I'm going to do is go in here and just go right around the edges of that little birdhouse with the little guy in it. And there we go. We'll just go in here and start doing some ink blending. And like I said, just going kind of right around the birdhouse. Of course, if you want to mask things off and do a whole watercolor background or anything like that, you totally can. But I love this. Looks great. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to kind of finish it off there. So that's a really fun one. And of course, if you want to with this stencil, I always tell you guys, what you can do is take it, you can ink it up like that, and then you can flip it and put the leaves in the areas where they weren't, so you can make it a little bit more filled in, which is awesome. So look at that. And then I'm also going to just go in on the edge. Yep, this one's called Minty Fresh. It's one of my favorite colors. And I'm just going to go in on the edge and just start doing a little bit of blending in here as well, which is so much fun. Did you mean the leaves before the bird? So I just go around it. Since we did the bird with stamping and stuff like that, you just want to go around and finish off the background and just kind of avoid whatever you've stamped down in the center. Awesome. We've already been going for like 20 minutes, but I hope you guys are enjoying this stream. So there is the little guy in his birdhouse then. And then we'll do a fun little sentiment as well. So let's do... let's start off by doing Squawk. I think that one is so much fun. So I'm going to go in here. Oh, thanks, Jess. Oh yeah, that color mixed with Tropical Tango is so beautiful for sure. One of my favorites too. So I'm going to go in here. Let's start off by doing Squawk, which is one of my faves. And then I love pairing that with another little sentiment kind of near the bottom or something like that. And so I'll just do, you know what, should we just leave it? Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna take this and I'm going to leave it like this. So let's just go in with a card base and we can add that right onto there. Actually, let's just keep it flat. Let me add this right onto a card base, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with this sentiment. Because, of course, you could add another sentiment on the front. But I think I'm going to leave it like this. So we'll add that right down onto a card. And then the fun part about this is I can add a sentiment on the inside then. So let's do... let's do Hope Your Day is Impeccable. I think that's awesome. And it's a great versatile sentiment that just encourages somebody. And I love those, especially during a time like right now. I think we just need to send some cards for encouragement. This one is so much fun. So Hope Your Day is Impeccable. Could really be used for anything too. And this just helps finish off the inside of your card. which I think is so much fun. So it could be kind of like what the bird is saying from the outside kind of carries on to the inside here. So just a fun little message on the outside. And there you go. I love this card. And I just wanted to show an easy way to use this birdhouse too, because I haven't really used it a ton. And so that was so much fun. Yay, okay. So now let me show you how to use the timber background stamp, because I have been using this one nonstop as well. I think it is so much fun, and it really comes in handy for a lot of different things, and releases that'll be in the future too. You can use it with for sure. The cool part about this one is, of course, it's a background stamp. So let me just kind of stamp it like I would for a background. So let's go in here and do the full thing. I'll do a little bit of tropical tango. Let's go in here with some kind of leafy colors. Some tropical tango. Let's go in with a little bit of Minty Fresh. Me and Jess was just talking about how that's such a good combo. I love those two together. And if you get any darker ink on there, just wipe it off with a dry paper towel until it comes up. And then I'm going to do a little bit of Sike, which is this super lime green color, which I love this one. And then let's finish it off with a little bit of Clear Skies. Just this nice blue color. And then here, I'm going to just spray it down with a little bit of water from my Distress Sprayer, since my inks are going to react with water really nicely. And then I can stamp it like I would a regular background here, and just go in and stamp that down really easily. And so here you're then able to use this background like this, and you could add little birds kind of sitting here and there on the trees, which is so much fun, or put it like this. And you could use it as kind of a scenescape and put little critters on the bottom or something like that, which is so much fun. So lots of different things you could do with this to create a really fun background there. But now let me show you guys how you could use this to have it peel apart, which I think is one of the really cool features about this background stamp. And I know you guys were going crazy about that watercolor bloom stamp, but this one works just the same way. I just didn't show it as much at Creativation. But I love that we're now doing those peel apart background stamps, because it just gives you a little bit more versatility for like the same price point, which is awesome. So the cool part about this is, look, I'm able to use this one by itself, this one by itself. I can use a cluster of 3 of the trees or a cluster of 2 of the trees. And of course, we made the lines a little bit jagged so that it's easy to fit them back together and put them all on the backer sheet once it's all done. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so let's go in with another piece of my Stark White cardstock. And I'm going to go in with a larger acrylic block, and let's do some stamping. So we'll do kind of what we just were talking about, but here I'm just going to do some stamping. So the cool part about my inks is they stamp really well as well. So I'm going to go in here with some Tropical Tango. How would you color the trees or the background? It's really up to you. Like you're kind of saying, you could totally color the background in with like sky color. So look, that stamps beautifully on there. And then the cool part about this is I'm able to go in here. So I stamped that one with Tropical Tango. Let's go in here with some Sike. And I'm just going to go in and let me flip this. So it almost looks like it's not really the same tree then. which is so much fun. So you get that different look there. But then the cool part about this is I can go in with the second one that comes apart like this. You can probably hear my dog on the side over here. If you hear little noises, that's him. And then we'll do some Minty Fresh. And I'm just going to ink that up. And this is a totally different tree then. So then we can stamp that down. And the cool part about this is you can create backgrounds with the trees, whether you want one tree, two trees, or a couple of different types of trees on here. But you can stamp however many you want individually without having to mask them off, which is so much fun. And so the cool part is I can then, let's see if I want to, I can then take a bird and I can do that and stamp him on here. Let's do this little guy. And yeah, let's do this little guy. This one's really fun. Just this little guy was one of the first birds that I drew for that set too. I kind of had a bunch of different drawings that kind of came together all in one set, so that's why they're all different types of birds, which I think just gives it more versatility. So of course I'll just stamp that little bird down on the tree there. And then I'll do a little sentiment too. And let's do Happy Bird Day. I'll stamp that down. And so this is just a really simple card. You could of course make it more advanced if you want to and really go in and color it all in. But I just wanted to share this technique and then share kind of how you could use it. And of course you could color birds and add them on top or cut out the branches if you want to. So there are so many things you could do. I just want to keep it kind of simple so I can show you as many as I can. So look at that, just a fun colored card base at the end. And there you have a fun little card. You could even go in and maybe color this guy with a little bit of yellow like I showed earlier with the painting. Exactly, Marcy. Yeah, you totally don't need to mask with this background stamp, which I really love. Okay, so let me go into and share. Let's go in and do a little bit of stamping because I want to show kind of how to create a full background with these trees. So let's go in here. I'm just going to piece these all back together and you can see it's pretty easy to do. Once you've got them kind of in here, it's pretty easy to just line them all up since they kind of have jaggedy cuts, so you're really easily able to see where they go back together. I'll spray it down with a little bit of water. And then we'll go in here and we could do some of our stamping. Now, one of you guys said, like, which one would you color in? I've seen people do either way, where if they leave the trees kind of a grayish tone and then they color it in the background. There's lots of different ways you could do it, but let me show you kind of a simple way to do kind of a resist technique, I guess. And this one's just so much fun. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of jet black archival ink. This makes them stand out so much, which I just love the jet black archival with images like this. But I love these timber trees because they don't really look like anybody else's stamps that are pine trees. I really went with kind of a sketchier look, and it really matches the vibe of the Simon Hurley Create line, which I love that. So I'll go in here and let's just stamp this down. And I'll add pressure all over the stamp. Okay. So once I've done that, here is how that background stamp looks. And I'm just going to make sure that that ink is nice and dry before we go in with anything. My dog's name is Tazo. What type of rag am I using? It's just a cloth rag. And I just do, if I'm just using my inks, they come off with just water and they don't stain. If you use jet black archival ink, I recommend using archival ink cleaner and it'll stain just a little bit. Awesome. So let's go in and do some ink blending here. And then I'm going to show kind of how to remove some of the color from the background. So let me go in with a little bit of Crown Me. I love this one. It's from my latest release and so much fun. It gives such a vibrant deep, rich purple color. And so with my inks, they're really easy to blend on your surface and not get any harsh marks, which I really love. They don't like, I don't know how to really explain it. They don't really, I don't know. They just blend really super easily. And here's the best part about them, is that when I go in with my next color, which let's go in with a little bit of Rosy Cheeks. Or actually, let me go in with a little bit of, I don't know why this is taking me so long to think of. Let's go in with a little bit of Remember Me. So what I was saying is when I go in and I blend them together and I lay a color right next to each other, it just goes on effortlessly, right? It still dries to the touch, so it's not going to give any ink on your hand, but it's almost like the ink is kind of like sitting in the surface and it's not fully dry, and so it kind of allows you to blend the color together. That's what I was trying to say, but it's difficult because the ink does dry really quickly, but it has a little bit more kind of an open time for blending and things like that, which I love. Then we'll go in with a little bit of Rosy Cheeks. Bring some pink into there. We're just creating kind of a nice sunset kind of background here. How is my paper different than Bristol Smooth? So I've never tried a Bristol cardstock. I'll go in with a little bit of Over the Moon. But one thing I can say about my cardstock is it's super, super bright white, and it takes the ink really nicely for blending. What I mean by that is a lot of surfaces and cardstocks have a coating on top of it, and mine doesn't, which if you remind me, I'll show you that in just a second too. But my ink has this, it doesn't have a coating on top of it, so it allows the ink to sink into the surface and really give you a true buildable color, which is awesome. So how do I not get sponge marks? That's the thing with my inks, is they just do a really great job at making sure that you don't get the sponge marks. There's not really too many techniques besides you can start off the cardstock, of course, if you want to, and that's going to help. But really, just with the inks, they just give you effortless blending. That's really the secret to it. It's really just in the inks. And the cardstock you use does matter too, because the cardstock quality is going to be kind of what determines the type of blending that you get. So I just use stark white cardstock with my inks, and you get this really awesome blended background. And of course, if I want to darken up the top, I can go in with a little bit of gray, which is called Woof, and just go in and kind of darken it up a little bit, but that purple is already really nice and dark. Yay, you just ordered this stamp with the birch trees and can't wait to get it. I love that. Awesome. Okay, yep, you could definitely emboss this if you want to. Let's see. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. So one thing you could do with this to make it kind of pull up a little bit of that color, I can spray down some water. My ink is reactive with water, so when the water hits it, it's going to give it a lighter color. We actually showed that on the package here. And so when I go in here, I'm just going to add a little bit of water onto the surface. And you can control where you add the water just with a paintbrush. So by doing this, I'm just controlling where that water goes. And you can see in a little bit, it kind of starts removing that color, lifting it off and giving you a lighter color where I add that water down. And so you can see the more water I add, the more it's going to kind of lift that color off of the surface there. You can kind of see some of it going there. But the more water I add, the more it's going to kind of sink in and remove the color off my surface, which is awesome. And so I'll go in here with my heat tool, and I'm just going to heat set that. And so that's how you can kind of remove some of the color. Now I find when I go in with that paintbrush, it does give a different result, whereas when I go in and spray it, it removes a little bit more of that color. So it depends on what kind of look you want. Yep, this is 110 pound cardstock. The total size of the background stamp is about 6 by 6. All the designs are about 6 by 6 depending on how far they go to the edge, but this should be kind of right around 6 by 6 inches. Awesome. So I'm just going to go in, and you can really see the difference when I add the water there where it wicks it away. You can really see that. So it just depends on what kind of look you want. Of course, if you want to just leave that color all the way on the trees and just spray the background with a little bit of water, you'll get some texture that way too, which I think is really fun. Just depends on what you want. I'll go in here and I'll just do this, kind of throughout all the trees there to get a little bit of that lifted and removed color, and you don't have to be super clean about it. Awesome. So look, you can see more and more as this dries and sets into that ink. It's going to remove the color a little bit more. And another way, like I said, to do it is just adding some spritzes of water on top of the surface, and that's going to react a little bit faster since it's really hitting that surface quick. So there's a couple different ways to react it with water, and it just creates this really beautiful effect. So there's that background too. Let's set that off to the side. You can add a little sentiment on there. Again, you can add little birds or a little sentiment. I just don't want to take too much of your time sitting here coloring and stuff like that. But of course, any of those birds from the Bird Buddy stamps that will look beautiful on a background like that. So let's check in on this one. Here's this background. And of course, again, you can just add a little bird to it. It's just a fun watercolor texture background on here. Can you lift with a rag? Yep. Yep, if you're purchasing the items, they will be still shipping. Ranger is still shipping. They're just taking all the necessary precautions to make sure that all the workers stay safe. And anybody who can stay home is, but they do it in different shifts and things like that. As of now, they're still shipping. But I don't know about the future. There's lots of changes that are happening quick. But as of today's live stream, they're still shipping. And then for like backgrounds like this too, I always like to go in and just take that same color that I used when I watercolored it, and I'll just go in and do it a little bit lighter, and you can do some ink blending too. And so that's just a fun way to go in and add a little bit of color and make that a little bit softer. And literally, I'm not even dipping back into my ink pads. This is just excess ink that I've had on my blending tools that I can just go in and start blending over top of this background with, which is so much fun. So like I said, there are so many different ways you can use these products to create different looks. So there we go. Look at that. And then of course, if you want to, you could add a little bit of water onto there too. So I'm just giving a bunch of ideas to use the background stamp for you guys. But then when you add that water on, we can lift it off with a rag and you'll get some of that color removed from the surface to create this beautiful background. So depending on how you use it, you can make it simpler, cleaner, or more inky. It depends. It depends. How many colors of ink do I have? I think right now I have 18. Yep. I should really know that offhand, but I didn't want to get it wrong. For someone who doesn't have any yet, here's what I would recommend. Choose a rainbow assortment of colors. If you want just 3 colors, let me show you the 3 that I would recommend. I recommend Bee Sting, Clear Skies, and Slippery and Wet, because this is going to create a really great blend no matter what you use. You'll get a green in between these two, and you'll get an orange in between these two, and these two create a purple together. However, if you just want an assortment of them, I'd recommend including a purple and also a green in there, depending on what purple and green you want or what different color shades you want. You really have to choose the shades that you'll use the most, but I recommend a red, yellow, and blue for sure for starters. Do I think I'll be designing more stamp sets like this one? Definitely. Lots of stamps coming out soon. Do they have a blending tool for each color? Yes, I do that, but you don't have to. Awesome. Okay. Perfect. I think so. I'm pretty sure they're in stock. I'm not sure if the whole bundle is in stock, but you definitely can buy them individually as well. This is laminate on my surface. So yeah, there's most of the stuff is in stock. Let me talk to you guys a little bit for a second here, because I think we're gonna kind of wrap this up in a second. But I want to talk to you guys because Ranger has products in stock, and sometimes throughout the day they'll go out of stock. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to be restocked very soon. In fact, it can actually mean that they're going to be restocked tomorrow or the next day. Basically, we take stuff from the warehouse and we put it into these machines, and those machines help pick and pack stuff with people to ensure that you guys are going to be getting your orders a little bit faster instead of taking the whole warehouse inventory. So every night they refill those machines, and so once the machine is refilled the next day, it'll notify you that it's in stock again. So just keep checking back if stuff is out of stock that you do want, because it'll come in stock very soon. Awesome. Yay. Barbara says she may have to switch inks. That's awesome. Okay. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys have a really great night. I want to just kind of recap everything so we created. Let me go to the other camera because it's a better quality. We created this fun background. Of course, this one with those fun birch trees. We did this one. I also created this watercolor background with some excess watercolor that we had. And then we created this really fun card with the little guy hanging out of his birdhouse, which I think is so much fun. So lots of different things that we created today, really focusing on the Bird Buddy stamp set with these adorable little birds in it, and also that timber background stamp, which I just love. So everything again is linked down below in case if you want to check that stuff out. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. Oh, thanks so much, Michelle. She donated $3 to my channel. That is so sweet of you. Thank you very much. I hope everyone stays healthy, stays safe, and stays home. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. If you guys saw my teaser trailer, we have something very awesome coming this Friday on April 3rd, which I am so excited about. So stay tuned for that as well. Awesome. All right, guys, and also more regular videos are coming very soon. Just during this time, I love to share lots of live streams with you all because I know you all want to connect instead of just me putting out a 10-minute video here and there and replying in the comments. This way we get to kind of chat and interact, and it makes you and me feel a little bit more connected even though we're all inside staying safe. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I'll see you very, very soon for another card making and crafting live stream. Have a great night. Bye. Now I have to figure out how to end the stream.